Hello everyone, I'm Overlord Jeebus, and this video is going to be about the London Oathbringer signing that we had this week. I was going to shoot more of the video on the actual train itself, but unfortunately the train is way busier at 11 AM than I originally thought it was going to be. So I hope you just enjoy this lovely footage of the English countryside as I talk to you as a disembodied voice. Before we get started, I just want to mention that there is going to be Oathbringer spoilers in this video. As this was my first signing, I wanted to make sure I was prepared, so I had actually printed off all the questions I wanted to ask Brandon, as well as some diagrams that I wanted to point to because they needed them for the questions. So I have my own list of about 30 odd questions that's just been slowly growing over time. I actually added about 8 or 9 over the course of reading Oathbringer. And I got these down to 11 questions that I really wanted to know the answer to, and these ranged from specifics to more general things. So my first question I was planning on asking was, is all investiture in the Cosmere associated with a shard, or is there investiture that's neutral or still associated with Adalnasium? I assumed the answer to this question was going to be no, that all the investiture in the Cosmere is not associated with a shard. And so my follow-up question for that would be, is there still Adalnasium spren on Roshar, or are they all parts of the Honor Cultivation Odium system? My second question was related to gem hearts. Now, Brandon has previously described gem hearts as investiture leaking into the physical realm in a similar way to atium leaking into the physical realm. Now, the thing is about atium is that when it was burnt by an allomancer, the investiture used to create the atium was actually then returned back to the kind of background investiture of Scadrial. But from what we know, gem hearts don't have any way of returning the investiture used in their creation into the Rosharan background investiture pool kind of thing. And so my question was, is there a way of it returning back, or is it going to end up being like, in several million years, will Roshar have no investiture left and it will just be covered in gems? My third question was related to the cognitive and the spiritual realm. It seems that they don't exist in the real world, and since they don't exist in the real world, can we assume that everything made in them is made of investiture? This is more related to things like, I wanted to know if connection was made out of investiture. This does have the unfortunate implication that more connected individuals would be more invested, which I didn't like, so I wasn't 100% sure, so I wanted to get a confirmation of that. So my fourth question is, how much of this map that is on the screen, the Shadesmar map we get in part 4, how much of this was Isaac taking liberties with, map making? If you don't know, Isaac is Brandon's map maker, and sometimes he will simply be told, to make a map, go away, and he'll come back with something, that will completely blow Brandon away. If you know about the star chart that we got in Arcanum Unbounded, this was almost entirely, Isaac's taking liberties. Brandon just told him to make a star chart. So I wanted to know, for example, here, why is Spren fishing banned, or why can't you go into the Caretaker of Laughter, and that kind of thing. My fifth question is related to the order in which Radiants learn their surges. It seems that there is an order to how they learn their surges. It seems that if you look on the Radiant map, all of the Radiants learn their anti-clockwise surge before their clockwise surge. Obviously, Kaladin is much better at flying than he was at sticking stuff together, but he was sticking stuff together first. And so I wanted to know, is there actually a pattern there, or am I just going crazy? My sixth question is related to the letters that we get sent in the epigraphs in Stormlight 1, 2, and 3, where we get, letters going between Hoyd and various shards, various individuals and everything. And essentially it just says, Cosmere Postal Service, can we have any info at all? I had a couple of Scadrial questions as well, because I took my copy of The Final Empire with me. In fact, I had The Final Empire, Warbreaker, and both of my American and my English copy of Oathbringer with me. My Scadrial questions were, are there any other people living in Scadrial's cognitive realm in a similar way to Roshar, so cities, trading posts, lighthouses? Question number 8 is, did Caesar choose where his harmonium manifested on Scadrial, or was it kind of just, he kind of hid it away? Did he put it in South Scadrial? Did he put it in South Scadrial for a specific reason? That kind of thing. Question number 9 is, how much do the South Scadrians know about hemalurgy? And my question number 10 is my Warbreaker question, which was Nightblood created using multiple magic systems or just Awakening? Because Brandon has described Nightblood as corrupted before, and then he's later defined corruption as the mixing of two shards, investiture. But then at the same time, At the end of Warbreaker, Ysteel is said to know how to mass produce swords like Nightblood. So does that mean that there is nothing else required, is not on Nalthis, in order to create new Nightbloods, which would imply that it only requires Awakening? So this is the question I kind of wanted to find out, hopefully get a bit more of a definitive answer, because I thought it was quite obvious that it was multiple, and then some people pointed out that no, it's just Awakening. And so those were my questions. As I said, in my bag I had my 4 books packed, you know, I had some snacks because I was getting there far too early. So yeah, let's carry on, shall we? Just arrived in London. I'm like 7 hours early because, you know, I want to be make sure I'm first in line. And got a long wait ahead of me. But luckily I've got a backpack full of, you know, books. So I might give them a read. So I ended up arriving at Forbidden Planet around about 12 o'clock, where I proceeded to stand there and, you know, be a queue of one man for about 2 hours before anyone else started turning up. But when they did start turning up, they started turning up quickly. And at about 4 o'clock, the queue was this long, which is, I would say, probably about 50 people. And this was 2 hours before the event was supposed to start. I mean, luckily it did start at 5 o'clock instead of 6 because Brandon was early, because Brandon's a great guy. Like, that's one thing that I really took away from this meeting, was that Brandon really is just one of the nicest people I think I've ever met. So the doors opened about 5 o'clock and we placed down our recording devices. I mean, we've got to make sure we get all those wonderful words of Brandon for Arcanum. I actually didn't initially get a chance to ask the questions I brought with me, but I did get some in my books. So it turns out the South Scadrians actually know a modest amount of hemalurgy. This, combined with another word of Brandon, has me convinced that the South Scadrians definitely use hemalurgy in the creation of medallions. I'll probably do a video on my theories about medallion creation at some point before the Lost Medal. I did get Raphoed on my Nightblood question, which got me my very first Rapho card, but this has actually been Raphoed before, I found out later, so that was my fault for that. I also got some others to ask Brandon the questions that I brought with me, so as not to overwhelm him with just me at the beginning. Arimus was kind enough to ask my Realms question, which I'll play for you now.
As the 2 realms, the cognitive and the spiritual, are, well, fictional, are they all comprised of investiture? Completely?
Yes. No, completely? Well, here's the thing. Investiture, matter, and energy are all the same thing in the Cosmere.
Okay.
Right? So, just like energy and matter are the same thing here. So, yes, everything's made of investiture in the same way that everything's made of energy in our world. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what about what's Brenna made of in the cognitive realm? Is that just...
So, yeah, I'll dig more into that. I'm going to go with investiture for now, but I could change that as I move along. What I'm kind of debating is there a separate cognitive state? And I don't think so. So I'm going to go with investiture for now.
Okay. Also on that, how about connection?
Connection is like the equivalent of a quantum connection in our world, so it's more like a force than something comprised of something. The question is like, what is gravity comprised of?
We did eventually get kicked out about 7 o'clock because the store closed, but the signing did continue, so we just joined the end of the line again, which at this point had actually gone around 2 corners and took us a total of 2 hours to get back to the front. No one joined the line after this point, so I can proudly say that I was both the first and the last in line for this signing. In the end, we got a private little Q&A once the last people had their books signed, whilst Brandon signed some of the store's stock. We managed to record most of this, so here's that for you now.
Hit me with questions, guys.
Cool, I've got a few.
Okay.
So, is all investiture in the Cosmere associated with a shard?
Yes.
Okay, so...
Well, okay. So this is a complicated one. So, investiture predates the shattering of Adonalsium.
Yes.
All investiture was from Adonalsium. All investiture got assigned to one of the 16 shards when Adonalsium was shattered. Some of the investiture was not on Yulin, but location is irrelevant.
Yes.
So, investiture is related to shards even on planets where none of the shards are inhabiting.
Are they aware of that investiture?
That's part of the whole seeing into the infinite, being beyond even the power of a shard.
Yep.
So technically, you could make the argument that Harmony could feel the sense of preservation on every world in the Cosmere, right? Because the building blocks of all life in creation are these things.
So
But
Shard of
he-
Preservation embodies all preservation in the...
Yes,
Okay.
but he just can't do that.
Okay.
Right? Like, he's not infinite. The vessels are not, even if their minds are enormously expanded by holding a shard, they are not infinite. But the connection is all there
Yep.
in the spiritual realm.
Excellent.
Yes, all right.
The investiture on the first of the sun is associated with the
Just
shard?
2 Ori, please.
Is yes, it is. That one's even closer associated with a shard. The actual investiture of the magic. Remember, when I say investiture, I mean matter, energy, and magic. Sometimes the word investiture refers just to the magic, such as Aviar, and in that it is associated directly with one of the shards.
Oh, you've just messed
which
with a bunch
one?
of people's theories.
Oh my goodness.
Great,
goodness.
I asked you a
Patchy
question.
is a shard of Adenalcium.
Sorry, say again?
Patchy is a shard of Adenalcium.
Okay.
Right?
It's a shard.
What's that?
It's a shard.
Yes. Big asterisk, but yes.
So that's
Shard as in equal, or shard as in a massive investiture?
As in one of the 16 shards of Adenalcium is represented and involved in what's going on First of the Sun.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
In fact, one of the letters references First of the Sun in this. Yeah. Sorry, I probably
confirming
killed some theories on that one.
Yeah. But by doing that, you've confirmed some as well. So it's
Yeah.
So you've previously described gem hearts as investiture leaking into the physical realm in a similar kind of process to Atium.
Yes.
Now, Atium had a way of the investiture used in the creation of it of returning back to the kind of the background pool of investiture on Scadrial. Is there a way of the investiture used in the creation of gem hearts to return to the Rosharan investiture
Yes.
pool? There is.
Yep.
Have we had any hints of it at all?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. I heard that one's been asked. This map. How much of a hand did you have in this map, or did you kind of let Isaac go crazy?
So this one is half and half.
Okay.
I went to Isaac and said, put this and this and this, and then he added some craziness.
Okay.
One of Isaac's voices in the Cosmere is Naz,
Yep.
and almost everything that is written by Naz is Isaac.
Yep.
Right? So, and the maps, so, like, he named a bunch of this stuff. He ran it all by me.
Yeah.
I actually vetoed a few. He came up
Okay.
with some. I'm like, and then I renamed them
Yeah.
to things that actually fit. So,
Why is Sven fishing banned here? Was that you? Or was that?
that was Isaac.
Was that? Okay,
That was
cool.
Isaac.
I just
Yeah,
wanted to know.
that is Isaac.
We were getting all like spren fishing and dying
Yeah.
in Arthith.
Yeah.
We were like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I've noticed a pattern in the way that the Radiants learn their surges.
Yes,
They seem to learn their anti-clockwise surge before their clockwise surge.
they do.
Excellent. Cool. Everyone thought I was a crazy person.
They do tend to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna give you some behind the sausage stuff on that. That is partially for writing expediency reasons.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
How do you...
That is partially. I designed that partially because I didn't want to overwhelm people with
Yeah.
too many magic systems at once.
Okay.
And so I came up with a little bit of a pattern so that I could have a little bit of an in-world reason
Yeah.
why we were slowing that down.
Okay.
It's not a hard fast rule.
Yeah.
It's something that I've kept to in order to not overwhelm readers. So it's
Yeah.
more form following function
Yes.
than the other way around.
Okay.
All right, last question, and then I have to step outside and I'll worry about getting food.
Cosmere Postal Service.
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about this? Is there more? How many people are involved? Is there anyone
It is more UPS than USPS. Does that make sense? Meaning it is enterprising individuals
Yeah.
who are traveling and trading between planets.
Okay.
Some places are easier to deliver to than others.
Yes, I can imagine. Cool.
Do you guys want VIN tokens or stickers?
Love it, Vinto.
VIN tokens.
Thank you so much.
Does anyone have the board game? All right.
One. Is it
The Mistborn board game?
Okay.
Because If you buy the Mistborn board game, next time you meet me, ask for the Hoyd card. That's for the board game only. Yes. Uh-huh.
So that was a bit of an edited down version of that Q&A, and quite frankly, we left that room giddy. The answers about investiture and Pagi were absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to see people talking about those. The Sharders that I met up with and I had a lot to talk about during the meal we went to after this. I can't thank them enough. Shout out specifically to Orimus, Eurysis, Yata, Megasif, as well as Inkayaku, Sir Cody, and RJ for making this event so enjoyable. For Sharders looking to go to signings in the future, I recommend always make sure you reply to the 17th Shard post. We have one for every event. This allows people to do meetups, which are always fun. You can post the questions you want to ask, find out if they've been asked before, if there's already answers, theorize a bit. Always make sure you prep for a long wait, as sometimes the queues can take several hours to get to the front. If you're able to make the whole event, make sure you take a recording device and record that for everyone else. Make sure it has enough space, enough battery. Brandon always knows why he's being recorded. He actually mentioned a few times to the store manager about, why we were putting our phones next to him on the table. So he will stick by you. He knows what we're up to. And the most importantly, don't forget to have fun as well. Thanks for watching, and know that I do plan on starting my Oathbringer analysis again very, very soon. Hopefully the first video will be out by the end of this month. I've got a first impressions that I want to put out first, and that I've all written the script for. I just need to record and edit that one together. So thank you to everyone for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye!